Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hallmark Guy Podcast. I am Baptiste, the Hallmark Guy. This is our second episode, and I want to say, first of all, to the people that listened to the first episode, thank you so much for listening to it. And if you're hearing me thanking you, thank you so much for coming back. And for our new listeners, viewers, thank you for joining us on joining me on this journey. I'm really, like I said in the previous episode, in the first one, I am really excited about this new adventure that I'm going on and talking about Hallmark. I love Hallmark. Um, I've loved it. Like I said in the first episode, I'm an international student from France studying in the US. And I've loved Hallmark ever since I was living in France for many, many years. With started probably with the Christmas movies, and then with just their all year round movies. And yeah, I'm so excited to talk about it. Um, I was excited to release my first episode last week and talk about the first 3 weeks of Countdown to Christmas. And this week we're getting an episode just about week four. So it will be more focused on the latest movies and not five movies trying to cram all that in like less than an hour. So yeah, episode two, weekend four. I guess we can we can start it. Uh, weekend four was. I went into weekend four of Countdown to Christmas not really excited. I I'll talk about it when I talk about each of the movies. But yeah, I was like, oh, it might be a tough weekend. And well, I was really, really, really wrong because the two movies of weekend four made it to number two and number three in the rankings, in my rankings of best Christmas movies of the year so far. They were amazing, got really great rankings for me. So now I'm gonna be more careful when I go into a weekend that I'm not excited about. Or maybe I'm not excited and in the back of my mind I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good then. So our first movie was Christmas Above the Clouds, and it premiered on Saturday, November 7th at 8/7 Central on Hallmark Channel, and it starred Aaron Krakow and Tyler Hines, a reunion of It Was Always You, a Hallmark favorite that we finally saw this year and understand why it is a Hallmark and a fan favorite. Aaron and Tyler are amazing in that one. The story, although it has some questionable moments, still a great movie. And so this movie was a reunion. I think everybody was really excited about it because we're getting Aaron and Tyler back together. So yeah, really, really great movie. So what I'm gonna do is last week in our episode, I used summaries I found online because I needed to get through the movies quickly because it had 5 movies in 1 episode. This week, I tried to make my own summaries again and try to do better than in the pilot episode that I never released because there were summaries were just so bad. So bear with me. I hope it'll be good. So Christmas Above the Clouds is about Ella Neezer, who's the CEO of Great Expectations Trip, and she hates Christmas. In in their office, she doesn't want they're working on a new ad for her company and she doesn't want Christmas in the ads. And she asks for a new she doesn't like the one that they made because it stars couples. And she's like, well, why can't we get a single woman going on vacation on a trip? And at that time it's December 23rd, and she says, well, I want a new one for December 26th. And they're like, well, will we have to work on Christmas? And she's like, well, of course, no. But I still wanted when I land in Australia on December 26th. And they're like, well, but when you land in Australia on December 26th, it'll still be December 25th in the US. So, and actually, I'm wrong. It is not December 23rd, it is December 24th. So, yeah, they basically have 20 hours, something like that, to work on a new ad. So like I said, she's going to Australia because the plane trip from New York to Australia is the longest plane trip in the world, and you actually skip 2 days. Well, you leave on the 24th, you land on the 25th with all the time delay, time change, and all that. And so she's going there and she's taking with her her assistant Bobby, who has to miss Christmas with her son Tim. I don't want to. The whole time I was writing my notes, I wanted to call him Timmy. Her son Tim. Uh, and so before they leave, Bobby gives her a Christmas present, and it's a picture of her mentor Maureen, and her, and it's really sweet. And everybody would be like, "Oh, that's such a sweet moment." Except Marlene died on Christmas Eve, so it's the anniversary of her death. So Ella doesn't really like the present. Um, Before they leave, also Ella has December memories pop up on her laptop, and we see her with a guy played by Tyler. We don't know more at that point, but she's kind of sad and emotional seeing those. She gets a phone call from her sister Fran, and she tells her they talk, and we realize they haven't celebrated Christmas together since she broke up with Jake, who was the guy on the laptop. Um, so and she won't be celebrating Christmas um, with her again. Before leaving again, she also refuses to give money to the building staff, the people who clean the building, the people who open the door for their Christmas like present. She doesn't want to give it to them. They get to the airport and she hears a voice that she recognizes, and then she realizes that it's her ex-fiance, Jake. They broke up 6 years ago, and on exactly on that day, so on Christmas Eve. So Marlene died on Christmas Eve. She broke up with her fiance on Christmas Eve. You kind of get the idea why she doesn't really like Christmas. They get on the plane, and Bobby is in coach, and Ella is in first class, and realize that Bobby didn't even get the chance to say goodbye to her son before leaving. They get settled in their seat, and Jake is Ella's seat neighbor on the plane. So she asked if you can change. Like, well, if you're not happy with the seat, change. You can change. She's like, well, no, I'm always flying in 2B. I need to stay in 2B. So, well, they'll spend the trip together. They get talking a little bit, and we learn that they both loved Christmas. And, well, that, of course, has changed now, especially for Jake is going to Sydney for a conference for child advocacy because he has um, like a charity for children. They depart, and she falls asleep and gets woken up by something really weird happening on the plane. Like the windows open and close, red light flashing, all that, and she's alone in the plane. And on her screen, she sees Marlene, who tells her that she's doomed to travel eternity giving airline safety videos because she was lonely and greedy. And so Marlene tells her that to escape the same fate as her, she will be visited by three spirits. And the first spirit is the ghost of Christmas past, who appears and takes her back to boarding school. And we learn that when she was 10, she stayed there for Christmas break because her parents had to work. Um, so, again, very tough Christmases for her. Then she takes her to grad school, where she's working in the library on the 24th, falling asleep, and gets woken up by Jake, who is a librarian. And they spend the night together talking about the future planes. And you can see that they hit it off. The ghosts then take her to a Christmas party for a place where she interned, and she asks, "Are you the ghost of Christmas nostalgia? Because you're making me think that things were better than they were, but they were, uh, and then they were, but they were good." Um, and we see a montage then of Ella and Jake through the years at Christmas until they get engaged. But then um, Ella gets a job for Marlene, and she gets too busy for work. And one year when it's down to one tradition that they still have with Jake, which is a dive bar like crawl. They go to different or thing for Christmas, and she doesn't even want to go. And she says, "Well, maybe we want different things," and um she breaks up um with Jake and yeah, the whole experience with Marlene broke her, and she breaks up uh with Jake. The final trip before with the ghost of Christmas past, we see her being mean to Bobby after she's late to work for a family emergency because her son was in the hospital, and he leaves Ella wondering like what's going on with Tim, and that it's at that point that she gets taken back to the plane. She's in the lavatory with oh God, how you call that? Like a floating device on her life vest on her, and Jake opens the lavatory. He's like, "What's going on? Who gave it to that? Who gave you that?" I said, "Well, the flight attendants." And it's a funny scene because then they get together in the laboratory, and then when she leaves, Jake is still in the laboratory, but when she opens the door, a girl is outside, and like nothing happened. She apologizes to Jake for the past. Um, then she goes back to her seat and she's hungry. And when she goes looking for food, she meets the ghost of Christmas Present, who takes her to the cockpit that is full of food. And with the plane, with just like a can we call that a steering wheel for a plane? I'll call that a steering wheel. He takes her to real time at an employee party, and she's annoyed that they are partying instead of working, and sees them criticize her because they feel unappreciated, and they actually call her Krampus. So yeah, they talk about how whenever they can leave the company, they'll leave. She's mean, she's awful. Then he takes her to her sister's house, and again, it's Christmas dinner, and family and guests criticize her. I'm saying like, "Oh, she's going to Australia because I heard there was a parade that needed rain on." But her sister supports her and hopes that she'll change. We see them play games, and she can't remember the last time that she had this much fun. Even though she's in the scene, though, they can see her, but she's like, Seeing them, I can't remember the last time I had fun like that." Um, she's then being taken to Jake's charity Christmas party for a mentoring program of disadvantaged children, and she overlooks. She's being told that she overlooks charity, um, and when she has the means, she could be giving to charity, but she just overlooks it. At the party, a girl flirts with Jake, but he says no, even though his coworker tell him to go for it. And you can see that Ella is a little annoyed, but she's like, "Well, he should go for it because he's Jake, he's awesome." Um, then she realizes that Jake and a group of friends still do the dive bar Christmas with the white elephant party, and old friends says that she saw Ella recently and just she's just alone, sad, and she deserves it actually for the way she treated Jake. She's then being taken to Jake's apartment that is all decorated for Christmas, even though he's leaving for Australia and won't be there for Christmas. So she realizes that it still means something to him. Um, and Jake is there packing his bags, and he sees an old picture and wishes Ella a Merry Christmas. You can see that he's sad. She's then being taken to Bobby's house, and we realize that Tim has asthma, and the ghosts tell her that Bobby's paycheck is paying for the medication, and so the whole paycheck, and that she still has to live with her mom because everything goes for the medication. And she hears more criticism coming from Bobby's family saying that she's awful, but Tim says, "I'm grateful to Ella because she pays for my medication and she gives mommy a good job." But the ghosts tell her that if things don't change in the coming years, there might be an empty chair where Tim is sitting. So Ella starts to panic. Well, like, why? What's happening? Why is happening? And she's being sent back to the plane. She's sent back in the laboratory. Um, she goes back to her seat and she starts talking to Jake, telling him that she realized that her job and success do not make her feel anything, and that the last time she felt anything was a long time ago. And they almost hold hands, but then Jake just backtracks and says, "Well, we should get some sleep." As soon as that happens, the ghost of Christmas yet to come appears, and he looks like a CIA or like FBI agent, and he does not speak the whole time. He transports her to her office, and she sees her employees preparing for a reception with a low turnout, and then the office staff, like building staff, liking her office, which is like, don't touch that, don't touch that. And she even gets annoyed because they're drinking like champagne in styrofoam glasses. So she's like, well, what's happening? She's then transported to her sister's house where everyone is dressed in dark, bringing it looks really like a funeral. And she's like, well, it looks like someone died. And Jake is there. Family says, "You didn't have to come." He says, "Well, I wanted to come." And they'll say, "Well, have you met anybody?" And he says, "No, I've never really found the spark again after Ella. And to be honest, I stopped trying." Um, and she says, "Well, he's Jake. He'll find someone." She's then being taken to a library, and she asks, "Well, what happens to Jake?" And we see Jake coming out of the library, and she says, "Well, he's the only librarian." And then she's being taken to Bobby's house, and Tim's chair is empty. Bobby is at the table crying, and is like, "What is happening?" And she's finally taken to a cemetery, and she sees a grave, and then she looks at what's written on it, and she realizes that it's her own grave. And she starts being frantic, like, I want to return the future. I'll change. I'll be better, and yeah, please don't make this happen." She's then sent back to the plane laboratory again, all excited because I'm alive, I'm alive. She opens the door, someone's outside saying, and she sees that everyone's like taking their stuff of the overhead and like deplaning. And she's like, "Well, what did we land in Sydney? I thought we had 15 more hours." And the lady that's outside tells her that they had to make an emergency landing in Utah because the pilot spilled apple cider on the controls. And you couldn't have found a more excited person that they had to make an emergency landing, because she realizes that it's December 25th. She did not miss Christmas, and that she's in Utah where her sister lives. So they'll get to spend Christmas together. So she's super excited about Christmas. She goes back to her seat, talks to Jake, invites him to breakfast. Um, and he agrees. And he says, "But there's something different about you." And while they're in the airport waiting for their stuff, Bobby finally deplanes because she was in coach, prepared to first place. And Ella is acting like her old safe, like the mean one. "You're gonna tell me I should give you a promotion because you worked on Christmas, and like, why haven't you booked a hotel?" And Bobby says, "Well, no, no, I'm not gonna say that. And well, it's 1 a.m., it's Christmas, I'm gonna do it." But then she changes her tone, and she tells Bobby that she's going to double her salary, give her a promotion, and get the best health insurance for her and the entire staff that he'll cover Tim's expenses. And then she tells her that she bought her first class ticket home so that she'll be able to spend Christmas with Tim, and she apologizes for her behavior and promises that she will make it better. And then the lady that works at the airport says on the intercom that someone paid for everyone's hotel room at a five-star hotel. So everyone's excited. Then we see her and Jake at the diner, and she tells Jake that seeing him made her change her priorities, and that she doesn't want to go through life alone or without him. And she's ready for a change. And their song comes on, and they start dancing, and they kiss. Finally, they make it to Fran's house on Christmas morning. Surprise Fran, because she didn't tell her she was coming, and she apologizes for being a bad sister. We see Bobby make it home, and then on Christmas morning, we see Ella opening presents underneath the tree, and she opens a scarf that she'd been looking for the entire movie, and was a scarf that she had when she met Jake, and then throughout their relationship. So it's really meaningful, and they tell each other that they love each other, and they kiss, and that is the end of the movie. So, like I said, I wasn't going into this movie really, really excited because Tyler posted a lot of behind the scenes when they were shooting the movie. I I don't know. I thought the setting was a little weird. I thought it didn't look like Hallmark Christmas. I thought, is this gonna be cheap? I don't know. Something in me was like, this is different. And I'm not, yeah, I don't, the behind the scenes looked weird. And well, I really liked the movie. What I really liked was the acting. It was so weird to see the sweetest person ever, Erin Krakow, being this mean, cold person, but it also showed us how great of an actress she is. But it was every time I feel like, come on, this is not Erin Krakow right here on my screen. But the acting from her was really good. The being mean and then the frantic moments and even some comedy was really good. And of course, Tyler just showed us why we love Tyler again. The comedy, there was some comedy in the movie, was really good, especially the moment when her mentor, I'm sorry, I forgot the name, the Marlene shows up on her screen, and she's played by Gabrielle Rose, who's been in a ton of Hallmark movies. She's in my favorite Hallmark movie ever, Let It Snow. And she says something really funny, like she's changed in polyester and she's being caught in something she would not even be dead in. So it's really funny, and the whole scene with her, the way she was, the dialogue was really, really funny. I thought that the story in general was really good. Um, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, when I heard Tiny Team, though, I was like, oh, we're using the whole Christmas story characters. Ebenezer, I mean, if that's a real name, good luck to you. But yeah, the story in general I thought was good, and the setting was actually good. Like I said, I was oh not excited of the behind because of the behind the scene that I saw. I didn't really know what to think, and then I saw the plane. The whole movie looked really good when I thought it wouldn't look good just visually. So I really liked it. Some of the issues or like first two things are issues, but like things I've noticed. The office building. We've seen that building in I don't know at this point 100,000 television made for TV movies. One time it's an office, one time it's a hospital or whatever. We've seen it so many times, and I know they do what they can, and do I mind? No, but at the same time, you're like, so this time it's an office. Last time it was something else. Like, how many things does that building host? Um, Another location they had the airport. I think was in I don't remember if it's a city hall like something, but in three bed, two bath, one ghost with Chris McNally and Julie. Gonzalo, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, Julie Gonzalo. Um, I think it's like the city hall where she has to give like a they have to give a speech or something, and I'm sure we've seen it something else as well. Um, Something that's more of an issue. The movie takes a dark turn when she sees the ghost of the Christmas is yet to come. When she gets to, well, even before the Ghost of Christmas Present, when she says like the seat where Timmy's sitting might be empty, and like we're talking about a kid's gonna die. And then in the Ghost of Christmas is to Come, we go to the house and the city's empty and Bobby's crying, and then we go to the cemetery that's all dark with the fog and all that, and it's all frantic. It's something different for Hallmark. I did not like it, but I was surprised. And more essentially what I want to say about that part is I wanted more explanation because we got back, we didn't get like, is Tim dead? Why were they packing her office? Why was that funeral reception at her sister's house? Why was she dead? What happened? That we did not get answers. And that's what I would have been like, I want more explanation about that. So that was one more thing. And I had heard interviews and like podcasts before talking about the movie where they said it might be it's an Aaron Krakow and Tyler Hines movie, but it might be more of a just Aaron Krakow movie. And for sure, Aaron is the main character. She's in like I guess all the scenes. It's about her story, but I was scared that we Tyler would just pop in and out, let's say at the beginning and the end. That's not what happened. He's in throughout the movie. I guess I would have liked to a little more Tyler though, a little more, but it was still more than I when I when I researched the movie. It's still more than I thought we were gonna get. So at least there's that. But yeah. Really, really great movie. I can tell you what I put on Letterboxd since I did that last time. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I think I took the zero point 0.5 because of the the the, the, the the explanations we did not get, and then just a little more Tyler that I wanted. I would have liked more Tyler. And so my comment was, I came into this movie a little dubious. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I had seen Tyler's Instagram stories when they were filming it, and I was not excited, but oh boy, was I wrong. I loved it. It was so weird to see the always so sweet Erin Craigo being this mean and cold person. It also showed how great of an actress she is, and Tyler showed us once again why we love him. This film takes a dark turn towards the end, and I would have liked more explanation, but be it will still be among the top movies of the year, and that's for sure. It is right now on my list of the 7 Hallmark movies we've seen this year, number 2. Hallmark Christmas movies we've seen this year, it's a number 2, and I don't wanna be wrong, if I look at the list of all the Hallmark movies of the year, it is number 3. So, it tells you a lot about what this movie, yeah, how great this movie is. We can now move on to movie number 2 of weekend number 4 of 2025 Hallmark Countdown to Christmas, and it was A Cal Christmas Vacation, and it premiered Sunday, November 8th at 8/7 Central on Hallmark Channel, and it starred a lot of people: Jonathan Bennett, Brandon Ruth, Eden Sher, Anon Desai Barocha. Probably pronounced that wrong, and I'm so sorry. Laurel Lefkow, Nigel Whitney, and Jill Winterneitz. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. Oh, and one more person, Frederick Brosia. So, A Keller Christmas Vacation is a family story about the Keller family. You probably could have guessed that. And at the beginning of the movie, we see the 3 siblings in their own lives. So Cal is a college football coach in um, Oregon, and he tell his friend that he's gonna tell his friend that he loves her at her like bon voyage party. She's going somewhere. I don't remember where or even if we know where. And her friend is like, "You're gonna tell her that with her fiance there or boyfriend?" Straight up noted that. I'm sorry, but he says yes. Then we see Dylan, who is a home builder, but he lost his inspiration, and he's dating William, who's a neurosurgeon. And then Emery, who is a data analyst, but like loves photography. And they all have a family cruise planned on the Danube. Their parents are already in Europe, and they all exchange texts. And their dad planned this cruise because he wants to revisit his time in Austria from when he was an Olympic skater in the Olympics, or whatever year Vienna had the Olympics. Um, Cal goes to say to to his friend that he loves her, but then when he gets to the bar, sees her with the guy that she's dating or engaged with, and doesn't say anything. Dylan asks William to marry him, but William tells him that it's not the right moment, and Will William tells him that, and Dylan says, "Well, you're hiding something, and I think it's time for us to take a break, and I don't want you to go on the cruise with me anymore." And Emery gets fired from her job and gets replaced by robots. Um, they all leave for the cruise, and they all get see each other for the first time in a very long time in front of the boat, and the sibling rivalry fighting starts. They get on the boat, and they meet Noah, who's the cruise director. Um, and they all go get settled in their room, and Cal meets his like room neighbors, a grandpa named Ron, who is here with his granddaughter Felicity, um, who can he kind of put she's divorced, and like Cal, and he kind of pushes them together, but Cal says he's not looking for romance. They have they all get together for a gingerbread architecture contest, and they decide to build the Vienna Opera House, but it collapses at the last second because Cal is not paying attention. So then we have this very funny montage where every family, like every group as they're like built, and then it's just a collapse thing, and they wrote the ruins of Pompeii, and that was really funny for me. On the first excursion, first day out of the boat, the family plans to the mom plans for them to see Bavarian dances. And Dylan, who's like still very sad about the whole William story and all that, gets drinks a little too much and gets roped into joining them, all dressed up in like Bavarian clothes and all that. The parents decide to go back to the boat and they say to the kids, "Well, you just make it to the boat on time." They talk, and when they look at their phone, they realize they're in European time, like military time, and don't know what the times on their phone means. And they realize that they have missed the boat. And so they get a hold of Noah, who tells them that they will have to meet them at the next dock. So they go back into town, trying to find a hotel. Everything is booked. And suddenly they see Hilda, who was the girl who took Dylan on stage with her to do Bavarian dances, who apparently like really, really like Dylan. Like she'd like to get Dylan home with her. And she tells them that well, she can take them to her cousin's barn that he's now converted into a hotel outside of the city, but uh like there's only one room, only one room left, so they'll have to share a room. There's only one person bed. Um, so Emery gets the bed. The guy sleep on the. Well, first they're like, should we trust her? That this is such like a Dateline episode waiting to happen. But in the end, they still decide to go. Hilda is really pushy, and that's really funny. But she's like calling Dylan like nicknames in uh, like her own language. They get to the barn. There's only one bed. Emery gets the bed, and they get talking. And they said, "Well, it's weird because it was a last minute trip, and Dad was very insistent. We all come and we went on this trip." Cal opens up about his divorce, and say that no matter what, his siblings can always count on him. And he'll always be there for his siblings. The next morning, they realize that they have to go to the next dock riding a motorcycle in a sidecar. Um, but they have trouble with it along the road. They on the boat, we learned that they have to depart the port early because they got overbooked the port or something or something like that. Um, and so instead of like departing at 7 or 6, they have to depart at 2. With like the kids are so far away still, but they make it back in time. And William is right there, just also arrives at the same time, and Dylan's not happy about it. He takes everything from his room and goes to stay with Emery. Emery took pictures for Noah during their day outside, and Noah had this whole marketing um, campaign planned, but there's something with the photographer, so that's not happening anymore. So he asks Emery if he can pay her for that, for the pictures, and that he would even actually draw a contract and make her take more pictures. Um, so the siblings get again together and they share about each other to each other about what happened with William. Dylan tells them that, and Emery tells them that she had been laid off because she had been keeping that a secret. Um, the parents then they all meet the parents and they encourage Emery to be a photographer, which that's a change because she's like, well, my parents are not telling me to be like the safe data analyst that that I'm supposed to be. Then at a Christmas market, a local girl, they're all looking for white elephant gifts. And a local girl flirts with Cal, and Felicity is right there and saves him from it. Yeah, you sense a little jealousy, but she's like, then it's mostly I saved you from this. They talk and they say we're not allowed to flirt with each other because it's too soon after our divorces. We're not ready. Back on the boat during the white elephant party, the dad falls, and they realize that the family needs to have a conversation. Um, Dylan says to William, "You should come too," and Dylan says, "No, that's a thing for you, but I'll be here." The dad tells them that he planned this whole trip because he has been diagnosed with stage 1 Parkinson's disease. and he wanted to experience Vienna fully with everyone at this time of year. And they tell them that Dylan's like, well, you had to go through that all alone, and they're like, well, not really. William knew. They asked William for opinions, but made him promise not to say anything to Dylan. Of course, William wanted to, but he said that he felt that by being loyal to him, he was being loyal to him by being loyal to Ben, the dad. So of course now Dylan understands everything and tells him they'll go to therapy for communication, and they're good. Felicity tells Cal that her cousin is a patient advocate in Seattle at a hospital, and she will ask if she could help once the friends get back to Seattle. Um, gets back there, no, gets back, yeah, home if they could has help like with all the procedures and all that. Um, She tells Cal that in 11 years ago, she put everything aside her freshman year of law school to take care of her mom, who is now fine, thankfully, but that she understands where it's coming from. Then we see Emery that with Noah, and she just starts crying and gets in his arms. The siblings call like for a sibling meeting in Cal's room that is all decorated with like paper stars and all that. It's like, were you waiting for someone? He's like, no, I just want to decorate for Christmas. Like, yeah, you feel like you were hoping someone would come to your room. Cal tells him that he will take care of everything since he lives close to the parents. And Emery says, well, I'm moving back to Portland also. He's like, well, did you get a job? He's like, no, I'm just going there for mom and dad. And Dylan says, well, I have a plan too. And they say, are you moving back to Portland? He's like, ew, no, still have a plan. They get to Vienna, and Emery tells Noah that she will still do data analysis in Portland, and do photo part time until she can do that full time. She asks Noah, since he has a travel agency, how often he goes to Portland, and he says, "Well, I've never been." And she's like, "Well, next time you're there, can I take you out on a date?" And Noah says, "Well, no need to wait. Let's do that here." And they kiss. Then they all meet the family together, and Dylan says that he will build a community outside of Portland, designed like a town that's in Holland that helps people with Alzheimer's, and will do the same thing with Parkinson's, where you have all the amenities all there. And so the parents are really touched. Then we have a scene with Dylan and William, and we learn on December 24th that is the anniversary of their meet cute, exactly that day. Uh, and that William said no to the proposal in the first place because it was not the right time, because he felt like Dylan will need to spend time with family, and that what should be the focus at that time. But Dylan says no, that's actually the really right time, and he proposes again with a ring in the shape of a Christmas tree. And actually, William takes out of his pocket a ring that he made 6 months ago, and also proposes. So they both propose to each other, both say yes. Cal and Felicity get to talking. He says to her that his heart is good. He's in a good place, and that he realized that he needs to be more in the moment, so he does not miss something special when it's right in front of him. Felicity. Uh, He's and she says, "Well, I live in Seattle. You live in Portland." He says, "Well, I traveled around the pond to meet you. I think a trip to Seattle doesn't seem so far." She agrees, and they kiss. And you have there's whole nice scenes, and then we see Ben, who's he's the whole thing for this trip for him was to ice skate in Iceland. When he took the fall, I said, well, I'm not gonna do it anymore. And then we see him about to enter a nice rink, but he's scared to go. And his two sons get around him and says, well, we're here. And they all go together, and everyone else joins them except the mom and William. And we have this, even Grandpa Ron is on the ice. And we get this nice moment, and that's the end of the movie. Um, I really, really like this movie. Again, I was not excited about the movie. I am not really. I, I'm more excited at Christmas about those, but I'm not excited about Christmas movies that take place abroad. Um, but for Christmas, it's especially when it's Vienna, all those places, it looks really good at Christmas. it's better, but I was still not that excited, and I actually really loved it. It's number three in the rankings out of the sevens right now. What I appreciated was that the movie was actually filmed at winter Christmas, especially like Christmas with all the Christmas decorations that were out. I think I saw Jonathan Bennett's stories last year where he said it's the first time I'm filming a Christmas movie at Christmas. So I really appreciated that because it looked authentic. You had like the could we call that fog coming out of their mouth? You know, when it's cold outside, and you had all the Christmas decorations everywhere. It was really real. What a huge thing about this movie that made this me love this movie so much was the comedy. The rivalry between the siblings of even though I started this movie hating every single main character except Emery. And the way they were acting and the rivalry was like, this is too much. I hated it. But there were still many funny moments, especially with Emery, the moment when she gets laid off and she talks with her best friend while decorating the tree and she just has like not a meltdown but she talks a lot, really funny. She gets to the Danube, to the boat, and she speaks German or whatever language she speaks. It's just funny the way she says it, and Ed and Cher has such an amazing comedic timing, and she's so good at comedy. And I don't know what her plans are. I don't know what Hallmark's plans are. I don't know. I don't know if she wants to do more Hallmark. I don't know if they'll have her do more Hallmark. But if she does, let her do comedy. I said the same thing last year with Daniela Moni, who was stellar in Holly Crashers last year, and also in Sisterhood Inc. earlier this year. And she was hilarious. And I think that if Eden starts doing Hallmark movies, if you can include that comedy because that's what she's so good at, it'll be amazing. Another thing I really liked, there was my favorite franchise of all time, movies of all times are High School Musical. And there was a High School Musical reference when Cal tells Emery, who's taking pictures of Noah, like something, and she says, "Well, thank you for telling me that." Like it says, like go ahead, and he says, "I'm just trying to get your head in the game." And she says, "Thanks, Coach Bolton." And he says, "Well, that's a compliment. If you throw in a High School Musical reference, I'm gonna love it." Um, One thing though, I figured out because we saw a little bit before, like in private moments, that the dad was struggling with stuff, and then I figured out instantly, like, well, the thing that's holding William back is that he's a neurosurgeon. He knows. They've consulted him. He knows. That I figured out right away. And again, yeah, like I said, um, started hating every single character, every single main character except Emery, and ended the movie crying. That scene on the ice rink, tears, real tears, a real tear that came down. Some questioning moments that I had, at the beginning, the parent says, "Well, let's get some Spätzle." I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And she's like, "Well, what is that?" And says, "Well, that's German mac and cheese." It's not. It's not mac and cheese. It's a type of pasta, but it's not mac and cheese. I've had them. It's not. The scenes of Cal in Portland, that was so shot in Europe. That was such a European city. They did not shoot the whole movie in Europe and then try to shoot like a few scenes in the US. Every scenes or Canada, every scenes were filmed in Europe, and you could see it. The apartments screamed European. That Portland screamed European. So it's like that's totally not Portland. Um, the boats was obviously the boat from Love and the Danube movie collection, but they did a really good job hiding that it was from the exterior, the outside shots from like a drone or something. You could see inside they did a good job not doing the scene in the same place so they did the scene on Love and the Danube. So I'll appreciate that. But I was like, that's obviously the same boats. Um, when they were ice skating in the end, were they ice skating? It looked like they were on wheels. I don't know if that's just me. And my final thing is they're all ice skating. We all have that beautiful moment. Grandpa Ron is ice skating, like the old man. Why are William and Mom standing on the on the side and watching from the side. Why aren't they all together? You have that nice moment crying, and I'm like, where are the two outside? Why aren't they with them? Even you can tell me, well, age, whatever. Grandpa's on the ice. Why weren't they with them? So that was my most like probably frustrating moments because it was such a beautiful moment. And I'm like, well, why? So yeah, that like I said, I love the movie. Gave it a 4 out of 5. I started the movie hating every main character except Emery. Eden Sure is really good at comedy. I ended the movie crying. Um, this that were those were the two movies from weekend 4. I don't have much to say about. I still am not caught up on Mistletoe Murders. I'll try to do it this week, and I don't have much to say about Finding Mr. Christmas. Um, Baked with Love Holiday. Again, another guy that I really liked, eliminated in Finding Mr. Christmas. Baked with Love, I love a competition, like baking show. I love Tamara Mosley. Every single ingredient I love, and I enjoy the show, but I'm also not getting into it that much, and I don't know why. I'll still watch, but I'm not like hugely excited about it, which kind of annoys me. But other than that, it was a stellar weekend movie-wise, and like I said, I came into this weekend saying, "Oh God, like might might not be a good weekend for me. Might doesn't have the ingredients that I like, or I'm not feeling excited about these movies." And like I said, a 4.5 out of 5 and a 4 out of 5, ranked number 2 and number 3. So, and we'll be at the top, one of the contenders for the top of the list. They'll be at the top of the list with other movies at the end of the season. So yeah, really stellar weekend, and I guess go in it with an open mind, and you'll be surprised. You'll be pleasantly surprised. What I'm really excited, I'm going to this week. Really excited is Saturday. We have Three Wiser Men, so I'm really excited about that one. And Sunday, and I should have noted that. I'm just gonna look what movie it is. The name of the movie. It's a movie that seems really cute. It's called Tidings for the Season. It stars the main character is a broadcaster, which is what I want to do. And I saw the trailer. It seemed really cute with a little boy that seemed really cute. Seemed like a good movie. I'm really excited about Weekend 5. I will come back next week to recap Weekend 5. Hopefully, I'll have some mistletoe murders. That's the name to talk about, and reality a little more. I hoped you like the the my summaries. I definitely feel like I did a better job than I did in the pilot that I did not release. I was more concise in the note I was taking during the movie, and I did not get bored of talking. So that's a good thing because pilot I got bored. That's one of the reason I did not release it. So I'm gonna try to continue doing the summaries. I'll work on again making things better, making this format better, maybe finding things or creating segments. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll be back next week for weekend 5. And yeah, until then, I enjoy home countdown to Christmas. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you next week. Bye.